I want to thank you all for coming back to the Black Only News and Entertainment Network. I also want to shout out Femi from the chat. Femi from the chat and I were having a conversation a few months back, and she was talking about old school YouTube. And she was wishing that old school YouTube was back, and I kind of agree with her. I miss old school YouTube. So I started I guess a program, a show called YouTube History, where I bring back a lot of old YouTube content that happened between, certain YouTubers. Sometimes it was Cynthia G. It could have been Nyla Taz. It could have been the Angry Man, Mr. Fantastic, myself. A lot of YouTubers back in the day were going back and forth. Now we didn't always go back and forth. There were some good conversations, but it was Femi from the chat who made me want to relive some of those old school YouTube shows. So today, I'm going to feature Phil Scott from the Advice Show, or from the Africa Dispora. And the reason why I picked Phil today was the fact that I saw him do a live stream today about Jasmine Crockett, a black woman, a black congresswoman. And when I saw that, it made me realize and remember the origins of Phil from the Advice Show, or now Africa Diaspora. When I first saw Phil, maybe it was 2012, 13, 14, somewhere in that area, in that time frame, in that era of YouTube. And then at that time, Phil was talking about black women. And he wasn't talking about black women in a good light. In fact, he was calling black women hyenas. And that was the first time that I heard a black man call black women hyenas. Now, also during that time frame, we had another brother named Tommy Sotomayor. And Tommy Sotomayor spoke on the same subject, talked about black women bad. I mean, that brother would go in daily on black women. And there became a time where Phil from the Advice Show, or Phil Scott, I should say, because at that time it was Phil Scott. Phil Scott, and Thomas Sotomayor got into a little back and forth. And the reason being is that Thomas Sotomayor felt that Phil Scott was trying to imitate, what he was doing here on YouTube, and he was trying to be another Thomas Sotomayor. Like I said, Phil used to come in on live streams with wife beater T-shirts on and talk about black women like dogs and call them hyenas, and talked about the experiences that he had with the certain black women. He talked about his ex-wife and how his ex-wife treated him during the divorce, and how much money he lost because of that divorce, and how she wouldn't let him see his children. And yes, I do remember all of this. It comes back to you once you start getting into it. But yeah, Tommy Sotomayor and Phil Scott, really got into it. And this is one of the videos here that of Tommy Sotomayor going in on Phil Scott. So I'm gonna play this video for you guys here.
I knew it was the motherfucking Advice Show. You can listen to the Advice Show and listen to that Final Justice before he took his shit down and tried to act like he didn't do it. You can listen to it was him. Who the fuck else do talk like this? But didn't want to try to change the voice and distort it, but forgot. Now there's gonna be some language here, so I want to make sure everybody is aware that it is language on coming from Tommy Sotomayor here. So
Just so that you're aware, it is full of foul language.
Got there, he talked with a fat tongue in his mouth, and he said the same word over and over. He said the same word over and over. Nigga want to sit up there and talk about some, oh, I can't get the advice so out of my mouth. Motherfucker, you can't spell advice, punk ass nigga. Second off, go look at the motherfucker. Oh, I put it up. You know our little phone conversation when I didn't say another motherfucking word about you after I talked to you, nigga. After I showed you nothing but respect, nigga, after your punk ass said, my thun love you. You a favorite YouTuber. Remember that shit, nigga? So while you talking about somebody can't get their motherfucking name out your mouth, punk ass nigga, I got channels with more damn I got videos with more views than your channel, bitch ass nigga. And you admitted that you were jacking my shit, nigga. And I wasn't gonna put the shit up until you.
Okay, that's enough of that. But yeah, that's like I said, that was the beef. Tommy Sotomayor and and Phil Scott had. Like I said, it was a time where Phil Scott and Tommy Sotomayor was getting into it pretty heavily, and it didn't end well for Phil Scott. But they moved on, of course, and now what I want to do is I want to bring up Phil Scott and what he talked about today about Jasmine Crockett. Now he did a live stream and he titled it "Sister Girl" or something like that. He was trying to say that Jasmine Crockett was, being hood, and that the DNC was setting her up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead on and get started. That was Tiffany Henyard. She was voted out, and she will be ending her term as the super mayor out there in Dalton, and she got kicked out as the supervisor of the village as well. All right.
So Phil Scott, and I didn't show the super mayor lady. I didn't want to speak on that one today. But yeah, Phil from the Advice Show talked about another black woman before he turned his attentions to Jasmine Crockett. And so we're going to get into what Phil had to say about Miss Jasmine Crockett here. I guess it won't let me blow it up any bigger than this. But let's hear what Phil had to say here.
Let's get to Jasmine Crockett. Now, we know Jasmine Crockett has been, trending a lot based off of her new sister girl persona. But we want to talk about her just a little bit, some of her background, play some things that, it's one. Listen, I respect you. Listen, if you a sister girl, if you a ratchet, and that's what you are, I respect that. That's who you are. Certain people, I don't have a problem with being ratchet. For instance, Sexy Red. I know we talk about her a lot, but she's like the poster child of ratchet right now. So that's why we mention her name a lot. If Sexy Red is being ratchet.
So now Phil Scott here is trying to compare Sexy Red with Jasmine Crockett. There is no comparison. It's not Sexy Red is miles away from anything Jasmine Crockett is. But as you can see here, Phil is trying to do a comparison of Sexy Red and Jasmine Crockett, saying that they're both ratchet.
I understand it. I get it. I don't have a problem with Sexy Red being ratchet because that's who she is. That's where she come from. She come from the hood. Okay, we get that. Sexy Red don't have a bachelor's degree. Sexy Red don't have any kind of law degree. She don't have a Juris Doctorate degree. She has none of that, right? She's from the hood. So when she's doing what she's doing, I really don't take no issue with it. because she's just living her truth is what it is. But I do take a major issue when someone goes to a private school. Let's start off with that. Let's get to Jasmine Crockett's own bio before I even get started with the rest of that. Let's put this up on the screen. Okay.
Now, before he gets into this bio of Jasmine Crockett, yesterday, there was a lot of YouTubers talking about Jasmine Crockett. And, it wasn't just yesterday, of course, but they've been talking about her lately a whole lot. And the theme of these black men YouTubers talking about Jasmine Crockett is that she's ratchet. Shoeshine Boy, Anton Daniels talked about Jasmine Crockett being ratchet. There's a couple of other MAGA Trump supporters who are talking about Jasmine Crockett being ratchet. Officer Tatum talked about her being ratchet within the last couple of days, and now Phil Scott is talking about Jasmine Crockett being ratchet. Now, I don't know where Phil Scott changed from being a Democrat to being a Republican, but to me, it's obvious that the switch has been made. Now, the funny thing about this switch that Phil Scott made is that back in the day, he used to talk about the Republicans and people who followed the Republicans and Donald Trump, or whoever in the Republican Party. Phil Scott would call them coons. I mean, he would talk greasy about Republicans. But I'm gonna get to that here in just a moment. But I'm gonna let you hear Phil talk about Jasmine Crockett and her bio here.
Okay. Now, Jasmine Crockett, she went to the Mary Institute and St. Louis County Day School in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, that's a private school. At the most, costs $35,000 a year. Private school. I went to the website. A lot of folks there. It's not a bunch of black folks. So she went to a private school. So obviously most kids that grew up in the hood did not go to private school. They used to go to public school. Okay. So then she got her bachelor's degree at Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. Then she attended the Thurgood Marshall School of Law at TSU in Houston. Then she got her JD at the University of Houston Law Center in Houston, Texas. She was a lawyer, a private practice and public defender in Bowie County. So
now, before you get too far into this bio, Phil, you were saying that Jasmine Crockett went to a private school and that not many people who grew up in the hood went to private school, and that may be true. However, there are intelligent men and women who came from the hood who went to private schools, or if not private schools, they went on, to other prestigious colleges. I know plenty of AKAs who didn't necessarily come from the hood, or some that did come from the hood but didn't necessarily go to private schools. But yet they were smart enough, intelligent enough to go to major colleges. And like I said, these are AKAs. A lot of, I'm not going to mention the AKAs I'm talking about, but they didn't necessarily go to a private school, but they were smart enough to attend, prestigious colleges.
some things you can't see, but I'll just read the rest of it. She was a member of the Texas State House of Representatives from 2021 to 2023. And then she was elected as a Democrat to the 118th and succeeding Congress January 3rd, 2023. Now, having that kind of resume, okay, usually isn't, don't have people like the sexy red types having that kind of bio. They really don't have that. They may have a couple of baby daddies, and their baby daddies may be locked up. Maybe they have a couple of charges here and there. Maybe they work a working class job. We don't know. But they doing what they doing, right? They trying their best. Okay, cool. So
now Phil, I'm going to pause you again here, Phil. I'm going to take you off the screen here. But we will be back to you, Phil. Don't get discouraged. We're going to come back to you. So I'm going to stop the screen there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring up another video of Phil Scott. Remember how I told you guys Phil Scott was at one time he was a Democrat, and now it appears that he's a Republican. Let me bring that up for you here if I can find it. Is this it? Let me see. Okay, I think this is it here. Give me just a moment to bring this up. And we're going to get into this. This is it. This is like a minute long or so, minute and a half long. But I want you guys to listen to this. Now, this is Phil. These are
Listen, when you sitting up there,
most of these people up here, most of these dudes up here are Trump supporters. Most of them are Republicans. Now, this was back in the days. This is like 6 years ago. But I want you to listen to what Phil had to say about Republicans back in the day.
Dude, I don't care. Listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that.
Listen, Phil, I know black brothers like you, always about cooning.
You don't know me. You don't know black brothers.
Listen, why don't you open your mind up? Phil, how does it feel like to wake up every day blaming the white man? I don't know how that feels.
How does it feel every day to sit up there?
Phil, when you wake up every day to blame the white man, how do you feel?
Who can't stand in the sun without chemical on their body?
Yeah, do you feel like a man? I don't think he does. You wake up every day.
Man to a group of people who come from the caves and all fours, who get lice in their hair, get fleas. They rape everything that has a hole, and yet that's the group of people that you're going to follow.
Now, again, this is Phil 6 years ago or so. This is a really old school YouTube where they had the panels where they had 10, 12 people on the panels, and everybody, just freestyling, going, back and forth with each other. But today, it appears Phil from the Advice Show is starting to coon. Phil is cooning out now. Now Phil is a Republican. Now Phil is talking about Trump and the greatness of Trump. 6 years ago, though, however, he was talking really greasy to those brothers who back then were, big time Trump supporters. And Republicans. Now let's get back to what Phil had to say here about Jasmine Crockett, because it looks like the brother sold out to me. But let's listen to what he has to say about Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine's out here acting like she's from the hood, that she went through things, that she got a couple of baby daddies. Jasmine has never been married, which is very questionable. A woman in her 40s has never been married. She don't have kids. That's questionable. Yes, it's questionable. Because as men, if you hear a woman tell you, yeah, I never been married, I never had kids, you're going to start looking at them like,
now see, it's interesting that Phil went there. because that's the stuff that he used to talk about back when he was talking about black women. Those are the same type of words that he used to use when he was talking about black women. He would say things like that. But let's continue.
Very questionable. A woman in her 40s has never been married. She don't have kids. That's questionable. Yes, it's questionable. Because as men, if you hear a woman tell you, yeah, I never been married, I never had kids, you're going to start looking at them like, why? That's the first question you're going to answer as a man. Like, why? And then as a man, how old are you now? Oh, you in your 40s? You start really looking and paying attention when you hear the 40s and say, what's wrong with her? That's the first thing a man thinks. What's wrong with you? Because something got to be wrong. Now, of course, I know some women are like, oh, that don't mean that. Yeah, to a man, it do. That's like that's like a car. This car is nice, shiny, pretty, and all of that, right? But every time a person get this car, they get rid of it. I'm like, man, that car, I see that car for sale like about 10 different times. That's a nice looking car. Why somebody want to get rid of that car? And then until you get the car and realize, oh, this car is a piece of crap. It's just shiny on the outside, but it's horrible in the inside. I mean, the motor's bad, everything.
So now he's comparing and using a metaphor of a car and how the car is nice and shiny on the outside, but is crappy on the inside. This once again is how he used to speak about black women back in the day, 2012, 2013, 14, when he was calling black women hyenas. Oh, he used to talk bad about black women back in the day. Like I said, if you know Tommy Sotomayor, this dude was trying to be Tommy Sotomayor. Let's continue.
It's bad. It's a lemon. Oh my God! Let me get out this thing. So when you hear men say, "Why are you single?" Because there's a red flag already in the man's head. Understand?
Now again, I'm not sure why he's worried about whether or not she's been married or not. The lifetime here he's trying to talk about Jasmine Crockett being ratchet because Jasmine Crockett will use some choice words at times. Now we all know Marjorie Taylor Greene, a white woman, she does the same thing. She used colorful words at times, but I never heard Phil Scott. I never heard Officer Tatum. I never heard Anton Daniels call Marjorie Taylor Greene ratchet or hood or ghetto. I never heard them talk about that white woman at all in the negative. I've never heard it. If they've done it, you can let me know, but I've never heard them talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene when she uses cuss words. But when Jasmine Crockett does it, she has to be hood or ghetto, ratchet.
And she even admitted that she's never even gotten a marriage proposal. That's what came out of her mouth. Okay. So, Buckhart said he did 22 years of his life locked up. And he said she ain't from the hood. Well, yeah, anybody who's from the hood, or definitely anybody did some time, they can see right through Jasmine. Let me tell you something.
Okay, again, does anyone have to be from the hood to use curse words or slang, speaking slang or use curse words? Do you have to be from the hood to be able to do that or to do that? Because that's what Phil is suggesting. Unless you're from the hood, you can't speak. You can't use curse words or speak slang. That's what he's suggesting.
Brothers and sisters that did time, they can really see through you when it comes to because if they survive, like Buckhorse, he survived 22 years, then he had to figure people out real quick because that could have been his life in prison. You know what I'm saying? And so shout out to everybody that been in prison, man. You know, you survived, you turn your life around. You know, I heard just talking about prison. Trump had announced that what he wants to do. Now, see, why the Democrats didn't do this? Y'all always talking about, why you talking, y'all, you by Trump, you by MAGA. I'm like, okay, I'll be MAGA if Trump is going to wipe off the records of felons that he said if they basically been out of prison for 12 years, had no problems. He's talking about wiping the records clean of felons. Why? And I told y'all because they put him as a felon, he probably would do something for felons. Didn't I say that before he got elected? I know I said it a couple times.
Hold on, guys. I want you guys to listen to once again to what Phil said when he was speaking 6 years ago to Trump supporters.
Okay, listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment.
You hear what Phil said? There's more money in shucking and jiving and cooning than it is in speaking about black empowerment.
Dude, listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. Sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that.
I understand. Listen, Phil, I know black brothers like you, always about cooning.
You don't know me. You don't know black. Okay, listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. Okay, listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that.
Oh, how things have changed. 6 years ago, Mr. Phil was talking about people who were shucking and jiving for Trump. How there was more money to be made shucking and jiving and selling your own people out. But that's what Mr. Phil Scott is doing right now. Let's continue it.
He's talking about wiping their record clean. Now, why is that important? It can restore their voting rights. It can restore their Second Amendment rights. It could allow them to get apartments and any other kind of things or whatever. It will stop them from getting blocked from certain jobs, certain licenses. Because listen, this is how I feel. I don't think it should be 12 years. I personally believe if you get out of prison, you finish off all your time, your probation, all that, you're done, right? Then nothing.
Okay, enough of that. Let's see if I can find when he was talking about Jasmine again.
It wasn't just extra. They wasn't extra at all. Okay? Then this new Jasmine Crockett, all eccentric lashes, bundles, all it, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You being a tool for the Democrats. You wasn't speaking that way in that other video. Let's play another video of Jasmine Crockett. Okay? Let's play another one.
My mind.
Now, what he's going to do, he's going to show different videos of Jasmine Crockett and how she acting. I'm doing air quotes, you can't see it, but how she was acting at this time in her past compared to what she's doing now. But I'm going to break that down here for just a moment as well.
And I'm thinking, I just got to Austin and I had to beat 5 people to get here. I don't know about this. So y'all don't know what white privilege looks like, but I'm gonna show you a little bit of something. It's a huge responsibility. You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. I'm trying to get clarification.
Look, calm down. Calm down.
No, because this is what y'all do. And I was just starting to get into the rhythm of doing constituent services.
They send them to Texas. They send them to Florida. Every deplorable state that we can think about, they usually coming out of y'all's think tank.
There was someone that talked to me and said, in fact, a former ambassador in the Clinton administration.
Please calm down.
Don't tell me to calm down.
Calm down.
Because y'all talk
calm
noise
down.
and then you're
out of control.
He said, Jasmine, what you have to realize is that if you are really going to make change, it's not going to be in the Texas House. He said, you did a great job playing defense, but you have a chance.
So do you see the different venues that she's in? She's conducting an interview, a one-on-one interview with this guy here. I don't know who that is, but she's doing an interview. Now we all know that in the chambers of Congress and in the halls of the representatives, House of Representatives, there's always back and forth. The vibe there is different from what Phil is showing you here. It's a whole different venue. So you can't compare these two. And then he tried to say that, oh, she doesn't wear lashes and all this in this interview here. Okay, well, she didn't have lashes, so what? What does that mean? Because she doesn't have lashes. But anyway, so that's the difference. It's just she's in a different atmosphere here. This is not first of all, it's not a combative atmosphere. It's a one-on-one interview.
Chance to play offense. If someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, that would not be engaging in personalities, correct?
I should just strike those words. What you just said.
The management, so to speak, changes. It's not just always one party that has everything.
I did it first.
Voted to do
Y'all did it first, so you
voted to do it.
Order.
He said, if you really want to make real change, you really need to consider it. Because if I come and talk shit about her, y'all gonna have a problem.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Jasmine, once again, was doing an interview, and she looked normal. She spoke very well. But then now this lady that we see today, hold on, let's get to today.
While we may not have the numbers just yet, that doesn't mean that we don't have fight left in our bodies. And so I am going to fight him every step of the way until we get what we deserve, because it was my ancestors that built this motherfucker. Okay, I'm done now. I'm done.
So with the DNC, let me tell y'all something. I'm kind of getting more pissed.
So now what he's about to tell you is that the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, is the one putting her up to what she's doing now. Phil is saying that the DNC wants her to be ratchet. That they will put a black woman out to be ratchet and combative before they would put a white woman out. So that's what he's about to say now. Let's get into it.
Pissed off, not so much at Jasmine Crockett though, even though I got an issue with her, because I don't want to just make it about her. Y'all have to understand how anti-black the Democrat Party is. They took this black woman who's very educated, a black woman with a private school background. They are lowering her, basically lowering her. They're making her look silly, extremely silly, not allowing her to use her intellect, not allowing her to represent well, but she has to be some sort of manufactured hood rat, because that's not what she is. We saw what she was before. That's really who she
is. Listen, when you sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. They're shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. Shucking and jiving for the man, they're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment.
She is. What they're doing with Jasmine Crockett is the most anti-black thing. Democrat Party, let me tell you something. See, people like myself, we clocked you already. We know you are more anti-black than even the Republicans are. Because at least the Republicans, they just say what they want to say about black.
Listen, Phil, I know black brothers
shucking and jiving for the man. They're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. Shucking and jiving for the man. They're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that.
If they want to say something, I respect that. I could deal with my races up front all day long. Bring me the open races. I can talk to the Klansman. I can talk to the skinhead. I can talk to whoever. Because look, I know he don't like me. I'm good with that. So we can have a respectful conversation because I don't like him either. Because he don't like me. But these Democrats, what they do is, notice, why don't they take a white woman with the exact same background? Private school background, bachelor's degree, law degree, JD, take a white woman and put her out there to do this. Let her act like the trailer park.
Well, that's what Marjorie Taylor Greene is to the Republican Party. If Jasmine Crockett is ratchet, hood, ghetto, then Marjorie Taylor Greene is to the Republican Party what Jasmine Crockett is to the Democrat Party. Because you're talking about trailer parks and all this stuff. Well, that's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Again, I don't hear you guys talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene like that. You guys will talk about Jasmine Crockett, call her hood and ghetto and ratchet. But you're not talking about the trailer park, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're not talking about her. I haven't heard any of you black men, Phil from the Advice Show, Officer Tatum, Anton Shoeshine Boy Daniels. I don't hear you guys talking about Marjorie Taylor Greene like that. And Marjorie Taylor Greene speaks the same way Jasmine Crockett does when the situation calls for it. That's what she talks about. She talks just like Jasmine Crockett does.
White woman and be against Trump. You notice they never do that? They never do that. But they're always trying to scurry out a black person. And Jasmine, if you see this video, you don't realize how they're using you for the man. You don't realize how they're making you a stereotype.
That it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that. I understand. Listen, sitting up there shucking and jiving for the man. They're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that. Shucking and jiving for the man. They're gonna support you. Look, it's more money in cooning than it is for speaking in black empowerment. I would tell you that.
I'm going to say it again. Jasmine, they're making you a stereotype. You're playing in the hands of anti-black racism, Jasmine.
Jasmine is playing in the hands of anti-black racism. But you heard him 6 years ago talk about the white man. And brothers on the panel there shucking and jiving and cooning because there was more money to be made when you talk about black people. Phil looks like he's doing pretty good. We got him suit and tie on because he didn't used to dress like this, believe me. He used to come on with wife beaters on. But it looks like since he's been shucking and jiving, that Phil has been doing pretty good. Now, before I end this, I want to get back to one thing here that Phil was talking about when he was talking about her relationships and whether or not she was married. So I want to go over that one more time with you guys.
Doing what they doing, right? They trying their best. Okay, cool. So Jasmine's out here acting like she's from the hood, that she went through things. That 2 years of his life locked up, and he said she ain't from the hood. Well, and then as a man, how old are you now? Oh, you in your 40s? And you start really looking and paying attention when you hear the 40s. You say, what's wrong with her? That's the first thing a man thinks. What's wrong with you? Because something got to be wrong. So Jasmine's out here acting like she's from the hood, that she went through things, that she got a couple of baby daddies. Jasmine has never been married, which is very questionable. A woman in her 40s has never been married. She don't have kids.
Now, Phil said that her not being married is questionable. Her not having children is questionable. Okay, Phil. Well, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but 6, 7 years ago, there was a big scandal with Phil from the Advice Show. And Phil from the Advice Show was found out about some things about his relationship. Now, like I said, remember what I told you guys when Phil came on to YouTube? When I first saw Phil on YouTube, he was talking about black women. And he was talking about black women pretty bad. And while he was talking about black women, he was saying, he was fist in the air, proud to be black, wanting to, have black children and black men and black women should be together, and it should only be black men and black women. And then it came out that he actually wasn't married to a black woman. Now, when I first saw Phil, like I said, back in 2012, 13, 14, whatever that was, he had just got divorced from a black woman. And that black woman, according to what he said, raked him over the coals, took all of his money, took his children from him and all of that. Fast forward a few years later, Phil's wife was exposed, and this is his wife right here. Now, this is Phil and Phil's wife. Now, like I said back then, it was a big scandal because Phil would go on to different shows talking to talking about black women, and then finding out that he was married to a non-black woman. So it was a big scandal. So while he's worried about Jasmine Crockett's marital status and whether or not and wondering why she's not married, well, Phil, you're married to a non-black woman, but you talk about black women all the time. Now, at the time, nobody knew this. Nobody knew who Phil's wife was. It only came out, when somebody did, I guess, some digging on him and found this picture here. But Phil lied about it. Phil lied before this picture was exposed. Phil lied and said that his wife was black. But when it came out, it was found out that Phil lied, that his wife wasn't black. Here is here is something that he put on his channel.
You mentioned the tweet, but you don't go in to even say what it said and what you meant.
It says here, somebody named Jade asked him, is your wife an African American? And Phil said that she's Native American and black. That wasn't true. That was not true whatsoever. And so Phil said that she was Native American and black, but that was a bold-faced lie. And now this is a video here of him trying to explain, what's going on with him and his situation here. I'll just listen to a little bit of it.
I'm gonna go to. Oh, you coming here to watch news and social commentary, or you come here to find out about my personal life? That's just that simple. No one has their life out there like that. And I have a right to my privacy like anyone else.
And explain how you meant it or anything. You just mention it and gloss over it. This is why people are starting not to trust you, bruh. Now you're going to have people searching for the tweet. You shouldn't have done that, because they're going to see, well, he just said she was Hispanic on the video he did today. So now the tweet from a year ago says she's Native American and black. Doesn't add up, bruh. So you got yourself in a little deeper now. Violation. Then
Now there is one thing that I will agree with Phil Scott on. It's nobody's business who he's married to, whether she's black or white or Asian, Hispanic, whatever. But the thing is, Phil, is that you are coming on YouTube dogging out black women, calling them hyenas back in 2012, 2013, 2014, when you were trying to be Tommy Sotomayor 2.0. You were calling black women all kind of hyenas. And then when you were asked about your wife and her ethnicity, you said that she was Hispanic and black. But that's not true. And so that's why people were getting on Phil advice at the time, because he was talking pro-black. He was talking about black men and women getting together, having black children, only to come to find out that his wife was not black.
yes, you do owe them something. You owe them just because people are coming out telling the truth. If you feel, and I'm here and I'm all the way in Kenya, and you're doing a good job, bro. And I don't care what people say, Phil, I'll steal rocks with you. And Phil, I'm over here in Ghana, and I think you're doing a great job, and I don't care what color your wife is. Those are coons and people who will do the same thing that you're doing, or who are actually already doing the same thing that you're doing.
Well, I guess Phil decided to go full coon now because, like I said, he's talking about black women. He's talking about Jasmine Crockett. And like I said, back in the day, he used to go in. I mean, this brother used to go in on black women. And so now he's just like he's picking it up again. Now he's talking about Jasmine Crockett. Here we go.
Questionable. Yes, it's questionable. Because as men, if you hear a woman tell you, yeah, I never been married, I never had kids, you're going to start looking at them like, why? That's the first question you're going to answer as a man. Like, why? And then as a man, how old are you now? Oh, you in your 40s? And you start really looking and paying attention when you hear the 40s and say, what's wrong with her? That's the first thing a man thinks. What's wrong with you? Because something got to be wrong. Now, of course, I know some women are like, oh, that don't mean that. Yet. To a man, it do. That's like that's like a car. That's not the woman for you. If you're a black man that's made something of yourself, don't ever lower yourself to that. You came out of that. Maybe you got a good career. Maybe you got a good business. You're not out here committing no crime. You're not out here doing nobody wrong. And if the women don't want to give you no play, hey, I always say this: it's a world full. You can stay dating and marrying black women. They got black women all over America and a black.
Oh, I know. I know you can find a woman anywhere because that's what you did, Phil. And a non-black woman. Anyway, like I said, guys, man, it just upsetted me. It reminded me of this dude back in the day when he was talking down on black women. How he used to call them hyenas. How he wanted to be the second coming of Tommy Sotomayor. And because I seen him talking about Jasmine Crockett yesterday, it made me think about having to do another YouTube history. And like I said, this time I decided to, it would be Phil Advice from the Phil Advice show, or slash African Dispora / Phil the Hyena show. Because he used to call them, a man used to call women, black women, all kind of hyenas. And how they were no good and you should never get with a black woman, all that old stuff. That was coming from Phil Advice. And like I said, recently, he's turned full Trump after saying this.
What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. And shout out to Lee Stowe. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. And Blessed Child Anointed. I don't know if these are men or women because they don't have pictures and I have no idea who they are. But shout out anyway. And only because of the 2 links that I'm sharing with you. This is the last video. This is the second and last video I'm going to do on this, everybody. I didn't intend to do anything else on this whole advised show business. You know, I did the one and I was over it, and I thought I had really said all that I felt like I needed to say. You know, what prompted this was...
Now, this is another YouTuber at the time that was going back and forth with Phil from the Advice Show. Now, this is a Peckerwood that he was going back and forth with. So I'm going to continue to play it.
I happened to see, I didn't know there was a live stream that he had done on somebody else's channel, and you know, it was a live stream, so there was, you know, there's a chat section and people were asking questions and etc., etc. And it literally made me physically sick to my stomach. Like, I'm still feeling nauseous in my stomach, and I'm not somebody that gets like, that doesn't happen to me. Like, what is that? You know, like that. I'm just not that dude. Like, I was watching this. I'm still not done. I was watching this. Well, you don't see it now, but this is an autopsy that they're doing, a live autopsy. Like, that's a cadaver. That's a real cadaver, etc. So I'm just showing you that just to say, like, I don't get squeamish at stuff. You know, I just don't. So that's what makes this also surprising. And in searching my feelings, in order to be able to articulate to you what it is that I'm feeling and why I am even doing a damn video on this, because this is so low priority on my list of shit that's important in life. You know, it's just not. But why it is eligible to be on my radar is because of the deception, the dishonesty, and betrayal, really, you know. And also because of some of the responses that were on the video that I did about his wife, and just the whole debacle, you know. Most of my people, your head is on right, but there's a few people who still can't identify their own when they.
And just so that everybody knows, this is not his wife that you see on the screen here. He was conducting an interview with this white woman here, and they were talking about, as you can see here, it says, are black men sellouts if they're with white women? So this is what this is about. It was an interview, Phil Scott here and this woman, and they were talking about black men with white women. And I'm going to put it down that you guys listen to what this white man has to say.
I can see it. This woman is clearly not an African. I don't give a fuck what you want to call her. If you can't say she's an African, I don't give a fuck what else she is. That matters. She could be a space alien. I don't care. She's not an African. If you watch the whole damn video, I stressed, not a sister.
He's talking about his wife, not the woman on the screen here. This guy is talking about Phil's wife.
I was like, that's the only 3 words I need. Not a sister. Period. And people talk, well, her nose, bitch. Every fucking white person don't have a fucking nose like, goddamn it, I don't even know who. Michael Jackson. And that's no shade against Michael, because I will fight you over Michael, and y'all know that. But I just needed a nose. You see what I'm saying? Peter Pan, goddamn it. All right. So, you not paying attention. You're not paying attention at all. at all. In fact, if these people from Poland and Germany and stuff like that, they have big noses. Hers is not one of those noses, but my point is that you can't look at the nose to determine if somebody's white. Period. You just don't. So, y'all need to sit down and go and learn. All right. So I was struck by that, confirms it. Makes you look like a complete idiot. And most of all, it's unbelievable. Unless you were just born yesterday and popped out of your mama as a grown-ass man. That's an evasive statement. That's what you call double speak, and he literally speaks out of the one side of his mouth. That's no shade, I'm not just making that up. He literally speaks out of one side of his mouth over a very thick tongue from eating pork. It's not natural to have a tongue that thick.
Okay, I'm gonna end that part of this video here. But again, guys, like I said, man, I mean, it was a big scandal back then. Phil was, exposed to having married to a white woman, Hispanic, whatever she is. She wasn't black. He said she was black, and she wasn't. African American, like I said, it was a big scandal. Now all of a sudden today or yesterday, he's worried about Jasmine Crockett's marital status. Now, back in the day when he was being exposed, he was saying that she stay out of people's business, out of people's families' business here on YouTube. That children, wives, and stuff like that should be left alone. And I agree. I don't talk about people's children or their wives or anything like that. When I go at somebody, I go at them and only them. Just like I'm doing right now with Phil. I'm going at Phil, but I have to give you guys some type of a foundation as to who Phil is. Again, Phil used to come onto YouTube and he talked about black women bad. He called black women all kind of hyenas. He talked about, black issues. The fist in the air, proud to be black man, who said that black men and women should only get together and be married and have black children. He talked about Trump. He talked about Republicans. He talked about a whole bunch of coons here on YouTube, and he said that these coons on YouTube were shucking and jiving, for the money. Now all of a sudden, Phil advises a Trump supporter, and he's shucking and jiving for the money. It was a whole lot of people that did that. Cynthia G did that. Cynthia G was a pro-black woman. Now she's talking down on black men. Why? Because the money is good. You talk down on your own people here on YouTube, the money is good. Field Advice is doing that right now. Anyway, guys, man, I'm gonna get up off of here. I've been on here for an hour. I usually, when I do my live streams like this, I'm usually 15 to 30 minutes. But I had to go over this time because I had to get all of the history back for you guys to check out. So if you weren't in the chat from the beginning here, go back and check out, this live stream from the beginning. So that way you'll get the whole foundation. You'll be able to understand where Phil came from, who Phil was when he first came on the YouTube, and to where he's at now. Phil has come a long way. You know what I'm saying? From white wife beater t-shirts to three-piece suits. But like he said, when you coon, you can make a whole lot of money cooning. Shucking and jiving, talking about your own people, talking about black women and black men. You can make a whole lot of money doing that here on YouTube. And that's where Phil is at now. Phil is making some pretty good change talking about black women again. Anyway, guys, man, I want to thank you all for coming back to the Black Only News and Entertainment Network. Peace. Take care. Be safe. And because I'm going to do more and more of these YouTube histories, because I think they're needed. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a whole lot of more of these YouTube history videos, live streams. So again, man, Barrett, I want to thank you all for coming back to the Black Only News and Entertainment Network. Peace, take care, and be safe.